Just minutes before the UFC 279 press conference, President Dana White stepped on stage and announced the event had to be canceled because of an ugly backstage brawl. We're not really sure what went down apart from the fact that Dana called it an absolute she show, and MMA Fighting claimed chaos happened backstage. Stay tuned as we give you the latest updates on all the drama that exploded between Nate, Khamzat, and Holland. First up, not enough security. We're gonna be honest with you, we could smell something like this cooking up. It was almost inevitable if you ask us. Khamzat Chimaev has been strolling around town with a huge entourage of mean-looking guys trying to pick fights with anyone who even dared look at them the wrong way. Just a day or two before the press conference, Khamzat and his team even got in an altercation with Paulo Costa while he was training at the UFC Athletic Center. Dana White didn't really disclose what happened backstage, but someone did spill the beans about the drama. Khamzat and his team were waiting backstage when Kevin Holland arrived with his crew, and that's when things got heated. Apparently, there were a few words exchanged before both teams started pushing and shoving each other. Things got really ugly because there wasn't enough security to manage so many people. We have two questions here. Number one, why wasn't there enough security when Dana clearly knew he was about to get some of the most dangerous and aggressive guys under one roof? Number two, why were these guys allowed to enter backstage with so many people in the first place? Like, we get the point of walking in with an entourage, but the UFC needs to be more vigilant and only allow a couple of guys with each fighter. And if you think this is all that happened, wait till you hear about Nate's entry. Next, don't mess with Tiki. Tiki Gosen, former MMA fighter turned manager, was also present backstage when the ugly brawl kicked off. He tried to step in to break things up, but that's exactly when Nate's crew arrived on the scene. Now, the Diaz brothers and Tiki go way back. So, when Nate saw what was going on, he also spotted Tiki standing right beside Khamzat's team. His first response to the situation was obviously confused. A few words were exchanged again, and what do you know? Khamzat's entourage is going at it with Nate's, throwing water bottles and cans at each other. Some of them even ended up striking Tiki right in the head, but we're glad no one got too hurt. When security and management were finally able to pull the teams apart, Dana decided it was time to pull the plug. He obviously couldn't let these guys sit together on stage because things would have gotten even uglier. To be fair, White did step in and try to pull everyone apart, but when emotions are high, there's no getting through to fighters who are trained to beat people up. The boss also said things like these are really common since this is the fight business we're talking about, but he did promise not to let something similar go down in the future. Moving on, thanks Ariel. We want to take this moment and thank MMA journalist Ariel Helwani for giving the entire internet updates on all the drama unfolded. We can almost imagine him ducking in the corner with a phone in his hand, tweeting everything that's happening. Honestly, he doesn't get enough credit for the job he does. It must have been really difficult to figure out what was going on when more than 20 guys were beating the absolute daylights out of each other. Helwani also put his words in solidarity with Dana, claiming there were too many people and team members and not enough security. The seasoned MMA journalist also told fans that what happened is the best possible thing that could have happened. What does that even mean? Well, he's not actually saying the brawl is the best thing that could happen, considering how things started and how they ended. This is the most acceptable outcome since things could have gotten very serious. Someone could have gotten hurt since there was just so much going on. Now, for whether this is a real issue or not, stuff like this isn't too common at the UFC, and that should come off as a surprise. It's a fighting business, and the fact that the press conferences are so civil speaks volumes about how effectively things are usually managed. Honestly speaking, we don't think this is too big of an issue or something for the UFC, but it's a lesson for the fighters. If you're coming with the intention to pick a brawl, then that's exactly what you're going to get. All this just points to what we originally talked about. I'm sure the UFC shouldn't let so many team members in the building, but what are these guys doing entering the building with so many guys with them? It's pretty clear that they want to pick fights and make a scene. So a lesson for the future, don't try to be all tough and bring a dozen guys with you. Fighters aren't doing anyone a favor by going through those press conferences civilly. The fans and press are highly important for the success of any fighter, so it's better fighters give the people what they came for instead of fighting like immature 8th graders backstage. Time for some more on the UFC. Up next, real gangsters make weight. It wouldn't be wrong to say that the entire fight world is disappointed by Khamzat for missing weight. The UFC and fans had a lot of expectations from this fight, but it's a shame how things went down. The undefeated Chechen-born fighter had been going on about how he was a real gangster and how he was going to send Diaz home in a casket. Well, sorry to say, Khamzat and Nate is the real gangster because true OGs make weight and they don't make excuses. Chimaev's team has been citing medical issues behind the reason, but the fact that he's making jokes on Twitter and laughing about it doesn't make things any better. His fight with Stockton Slugger got called off and now he's fighting Kevin Holland, which is equally exciting if not more. And as for Diaz, he's set to take on UFC legend Tony Ferguson. Derek Brunson took a few digs of his own, tweeting about how the Smash Brothers have been eating really well. He also told fans he knew this fight would never happen. But anyway, we're kinda glad it's not happening since Nate deserved a better send-off. Following with Mr. Conor McGregor. Despite being out of the fight game for a long time, it's strange how fighters still continue to talk about McGregor expressing a desire to fight him for a boatload of money. Even Brazilian lightweight Charles Oliveira said he can't wait to beat Islam so he can finally get a big money fight against the Irishman. And now featherweight champion Alex Volkanovski has called out the Notorious One for a fight at any weight he wants, claiming it makes more sense that way. The two highly entertaining fighters had a feud before this call out as well, but it sort of died down. Ever since Conor took some cheap shots at Hasbulla, things have gotten heated again. Volka told Conor that he'd have to go through him first if he wants a piece of Hasbulla, and we know he's not serious because why would anyone want to fight such a cute little human? But anyway, it's really surprising to see how some of the top fighters in the game continue to take his name any chance they get. Finally, a career so good even your rival praises you. Since we're on the topic of Conor McGregor, it's a pretty well-known fact that the Irishman doesn't have a lot of friends at the UFC. Most figures just take his name in the hopes to secure a money fight or even stay relevant. But in light of recent events, Conor has tweeted in support of Nate Diaz, congratulating him for fighting out of his contract, calling him a bona fide superstar. Nate has had a really troubling past couple of months with the promotion. He and the boss have been going at it for quite some time before the UFC finalized his last fight against the Wolf, Khamzat Chimaev. But it's really nice to see how the legend has dealt with everything thrown his way, and even though it was really an unfair matchup, Nate didn't back down and took everything with class. Conor also promised him a trilogy fight, claiming it'll happen somewhere down the road. Now that's a fight we pray to watch. But anyway, it's a class act for McGregor coming at a very crucial time when the Stockton Slugger needed it the most. We're hoping he goes out with a bang, putting on a legendary performance against the great Tony Ferguson. That's it from our side, folks. So what do you think? Should fighters only be allowed to bring a certain number of teammates with them? And did Dana do the right thing by calling the press conference off, considering how interesting and intense it could have been? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content in the future. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.